Ben, you got Auburn, of course, coming to town. Nobody had to remind you of that, but I know you've always been a one game at the time kind of guy. I imagine that's pretty easy when you look across the way and see the Auburn Tigers on the schedule. Just what's kind of the excitement level to get to host a game of this caliber tomorrow night?
I think our guys are excited. You know, we know how good they are. They've been in the top five for most of the year, and they're top 10 in both the net and Ken Palm, and have a great team. Have probably the top front line in America when you look at Kessler and Smith in particular. Those guys are unbelievable how good they are. And then I really like their guards. I mean, you know, I think that, you know, KD Johnson is really a tough, hard-nosed player that does so much to make them win. Green is spectacular in terms of his offensive output and his ability to stretch the floor. They have a lot of depth. You know, like Williams, Jalen is a really good player, and he's coming off the bench. You know, same thing. You know, Cambridge is a very, very good player, and you know Flanagan, you know, had a tough break when he got the Achilles injury, but he's come back from that, and he adds a lot because he's so tough defensively. And you know, I thought he would be a pro. If he hadn't been hurt, he'd be a pro right now. You know, and I still think he will be. But you know, they've just got a lot of talent. They play really hard. They're excellent defensively, unbelievable on the offensive glass. You know, shot blocking. You know, Kessler's the best shot blocker in the country. Period. He's the defensive player of the year, hands down, nationally, not just in our league. So, you know, Jabari Smith's the number one pick in the draft. I think that's a hands-down thing, too. I don't think there's even a question, especially as I talk to the NBA people I know. I mean, it's just he's going to score every night 82 times a year. He shoots it incredible for a guy with that kind of length and size.
Paul, go
Coach,
ahead.
Coach, obviously you haven't had him for his entire career, but what's it been like for you to coach Garrison Brooks in his last season? And obviously he had the rare opportunity to play for his dad this year too.
I think that was really you know, special for them in particular, and you know, and he's done a great job for us this year. He's just been Mr. Consistent, Mr. Solid. You know, just brings so much experience and intelligence and toughness. His ability to rebound and score on a consistent basis has been great. He's been a great leader both in the locker room and on the floor. He's really been great for our culture. And, you know, I feel bad that he didn't get to play the entire year as the power forward because with Tolo's injuries, he kept going back and forth, and that's hard to do. But he's handled it really well. And this will be his last game. Obviously, it's our last home game of the year. And we want to obviously go out on a high note. And we'll be honoring, you know, him in the, you know, pregame festivities.
You've had the opportunity to coach several legacies here at Mississippi State. I mean, you even count the Weatherspoon brothers, but you look at Reggie and Tyson and Woodard, so many. And what's that like for a kid to come in and to play where his dad played and to know the history like they do when they come in here?
Well, I think it's just really special for both the fathers and the sons. I mean, you know, when you look at, you know, Reggie and Robert and Tyson, all their fathers were really accomplished players. No offense to George, but he was just okay. So I was told by both George and Coach Williams. But that being said, it's just special, you know, because anybody who's played here, anybody who's ever gone to school here, this is a normal, they love Mississippi State. The one thing that I feel about our alums, since I've been here now for 7 years, is just how much pride there is and how much love there is for the university and for the experience of going to school here. And just, you know, you see so many people giving back, and the people that have really made it, it's amazing how they give back. You know, I've been at other, you know, big-time universities. I've never seen such generous folks. You know, people love Mississippi State that have been associated. And then when you talk about players that played here, that had that experience on top of going to school here. It's unbelievable. I mean, like Al Perry, Mr. Woodard, Mr. Carter, they all were so proud to have their sons following in their footsteps. And the same is true for George. I mean, to have Garrison here and to be able to coach him and be with him on a daily basis has been really, I think, special for their father-son bond.
Andy, go ahead and hop in there.
Hey, Ben, sorry if I missed this last week, but is there an update on Rocket Watts, what his availability might be like?
Yeah, you know what? He saw the doctor yesterday. He's still having pain. It was a pretty, good sprain in there, so he won't be playing this week either, I don't think.
Is the hope, I guess, to get him back maybe for the SEC tournament?
Yeah, we'll see how he heals. I mean, he got a little scared yesterday because the doctor told him, you tore some ligaments. And he said, I just thought I sprained them. Well, tearing them is spraining them. But he didn't understand that until after it was explained to him again. So he really was like stunned. It's like, yeah, it's bad, it's a serious sprain in your elbow. I mean, you don't require surgery. But the bottom line is he came in Sunday night and tried to shoot on his own and had issues once he got outside of 15 feet. So
you mentioned Jabari Smith and his NBA prospects. I mean, what do you view what Iverson Moldenar has done this year for basically his NBA draft stock? And maybe what do you think maybe the knock on him, maybe that three-pointer that hasn't been hitting as frequently as it was last year?
Yeah, the analytics, a year ago were really in his favor in terms of the three-point shooting. And it's just an analytics game. His percentages aren't as high this year, but I think that eventually he will get there. The bottom line is he's done an unbelievable job to be. You talk about Mr. Consistency. I mean, to score in double figures in 29 straight games is mind-boggling, and he's just been spectacular all year long at both ends of the floor. But I think that ultimately Iverson will get to the NBA.
Steph, go ahead and hop in there.
Hey, Ben, you had mentioned some of the block numbers that Kessler has, but I mean, obviously he does a good job, making shots tougher, even if he doesn't record the block on it. How do you kind of prepare for going against a player like that in the post?
We had Manute Bull here in the last 2 days to practice against us. I brought him in, and so we thought that would be helpful to get Manute there to protect the rim. No, just kidding. It's a tough one because you can't simulate that with our plays. We're not using a broomstick like we do with coaches sometimes. Play behind a guy and we actually have a broomstick to contest shots, and stuff like that. But you watch film, you study that, and you got to go at them. I mean, I thought that Tennessee did a good job of that in the last game, and trying to, go right at him. And, I tell you what, though, he's absolutely incredible. I mean, I think I looked at in the conference games, he has 85 block shots in 16 games. He's getting over 5 block shots a night. And I'm watching all this film on him, and like everybody's trying to drive and go at him, and they're learning very quickly, He's really athletic. I mean, he blocks everything. So, he's a guy that is difficult to contend with, and that's why one of the big reasons they're so good defensively. They can get out and pressure, and if anybody gets beat, they've got him sitting there ready to swat a shot.
Yeah, you should have just John Sokoloff's a little taller. You should have brought him in to help kind of start to defend a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think John would still be a little short of what this Mr. Kessler brings. I'd love to know. I'm sure it's out there. I haven't read yet what his wingspan is, but he's got long arms. Great timing, explosive jumping. I mean, he's a first-round pick.
Yeah, you mentioned before just how much better you feel like the SEC has gotten since maybe you had first come into Mississippi State. What have you kind of seen from Bruce Pearl and the job that he's been able to do at Auburn? What are your thoughts on that?
I think he's done a wonderful job. I mean, you just look at it, and it took him some time to get it going, like anywhere. But the new facility was really helpful, I think. They got a brand new facility that, just was completed right before he got there. And But they've had really good players. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to players.